The second question is from Mr Morton. I invite you to address your question to the leader.
Just some context before I actually ask the question. I attended a meeting of the Public Accounts Committee on July the 3rd where the National Audit Office report, confidentiality clauses and special severance payments was under consideration. My case is included in the report. The meeting was a reflection of the immense amount of public interest in such matters. The ministers were clear that there should be greater transparency and accountability of all aspects of public sector pay and reward, including any compensation payments offered to staff leaving local authority employment. In guidance published under the Localism Act 2011, to which local authorities must have regard, the Secretary of State said that any severance payment over £100,000 should be subject to consideration by full council. Secretary of State issued supplementary guidance in February 2013, openness and accountability in local pay, guidance under Section 40 of the Localism Act 2011. Paragraph 13 states, taken together, these measures enable greater scrutiny of the money spent by authorities on severance. However, given continuing public concern about the level and frequency of such payments, there is a case for going further to ensure that decisions to spend local taxpayers' money on large payoffs are subject to appropriate levels of accountability. Authorities should therefore have before council the opportunity to vote before large severance packages beyond a particular threshold are approved for staff leaving the organisation. As with salaries on appointment, the Secretary of State considers that £100,000 is the right level for that threshold to be set. With particular regard to openness and accountability, can Council please advise as to why this guidance has not been applied to a number of severance payments made during the past 3 years, which have exceeded the £100,000 threshold, and can Council offer reassurance that any future severance payments which exceed this threshold will be subject to consideration by full Council? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Can I thank Mr Morton for his question, and certainly the short answer to the question at the end is yes, but let me elaborate. And I do share Mr Morton's concern about ensuring that there is greater transparency and accountability regarding senior officer pay. I do believe the Council has complied with the Localism Act 2011 that requires us to publish a pay policy statement for 2013-14 and subsequent years. This includes publication of our severance scheme for chief officers, which is also consistent with the terms that apply to the rest of the workforce. Since I became leader of this council in May last year, I have published severance payments amounts exceeding the £100,000 threshold ahead of the legal requirement to determine the council's annual accounts. All departures of senior officers since September of last year have been subject to consultation with 3 group leaders and approval by Employment and Appointments Subcommittee. All leaders that have left the council have left the council on the basis of the council's severance multiplier, and the basis on which payments were calculated was agreed by Budget Council in March at a multiplier of 1.8, which we rated previously. These payments have also been the subject of consultation with the council's district auditor. Therefore, I believe that both the calculation and the amounts paid have been subject to full transparency and accountability. Now, in respect of the supplementary guidance that Mr Morton refers to from the Secretary of State, this only became operative from February of this year, so clearly we've not followed the guidance prior to that date because it hadn't been issued. However, I'm pleased to confirm that Council will follow this guidance and in future will report severance payments exceeding £100,000 to Council for approval. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You have a supplementary question, Mr Morton.
Yeah, just in relation to the issue of confidentiality clauses, is the in terms of public interest disclosures, we call it Public Interest Disclosure Act, specifically 43J, can Council offer reassurance that confidentiality clauses which are not in the public interest will not be used?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Well, certainly Since I became council leader in about the autumn of last year, we've not used confidentiality clauses. For the reasons that you've expressed, I believe they're not in the interest. And as far as I'm aware, and again, look to the Chief Executive for a moment, we don't include those in 7th routes any longer. I'm just asking for confirmation.
I can confirm that I wrote to our solicitors who draw up those agreements in September or October this year and asked them not to include any clauses in any future agreements.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Morton. Item 5, it's on pages 1 to 36 of the agenda, containing the minutes of the annual council meeting held on the 13th of May and reconvened on the 20th of May 2013. I will move approval of the minutes as a correct record. Do I have to second? Thank you very much. Are there any issues of accuracy in respect of these minutes? So, all those in favour, please clearly indicate. All those in favour. All those against? Any abstentions? Well, obviously that's all the result. Next item on the agenda, 6 on pages 37 to 62 of the agenda, contain the reports of the leader and executive members. The council is invited to receive and note these reports. All questions must be confined to the contents of the reports. Questions, please ensure that your question is no longer than 2 minutes. The total number of questions on any one report will not normally exceed more than 5. That's at my discretion. You want to 11 reports. That's a lot of time. Please think on that. Responses to questions will be reserved at the conclusion of all questions on a particular report. Cabinet members, please in your responses do not exceed 10 minutes. Please make sure that they not extend more than 10 minutes. Because I did keep a note when I was deputy on how long that's from. Councillor Phil Davies, would you please very briefly introduce the report?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. It's my pleasure really to introduce these reports. Knowing this is a new procedure of council, I think it is important that the executive are accountable to council, and I'm pleased that we will be able to focus on a whole range of issues that we are directly responsible for. There were just 2 very brief items, Mr Mayor, for the reports that I wanted to just sort of highlight, really just by way of saying thank you. The one is in the report that the Councillor Kenny, the Cabinet Member for the Environment, has highlighted, and I'm pleased to report very briefly. A Crown Court last week, following a lengthy investigation by our health and safety team, environmental health officers, a Wirral cookware company was ordered to pay fines and costs totaling £13,000 for exposing employees to radiation. And I'd just like to it's a very complicated case, and I'd like to just thank the officers involved in this, who were actually doing managerial responsibility supported by one of our lawyers, Ken Abraham. I really do think they should be commended for their professionalism and determination to overcome, I know, the many challenges in this case. The company concerned had rigorously defended the case using top barristers, including some flown in from America, and only at the later stages proceedings pleaded guilty. So a big thank you to our officers in that department. And finally, in terms of just introduction, again, I've been made aware, comes under the Cabinet Member for leisure and the responsibility for parks. I'm really pleased, because this has been a long running issue, I'm really pleased to report that finally United Utilities are investing some £2 million investment in addressing the problem with the fairly antiquated sewage system in Birkenhead Park, which has led to extensive flooding and made it very difficult for members of the public to enjoy that, what I think is a jewel in the crown of Wirral, which is Birkenhead Park. This work is due to begin later this month, in the last 5 to 6 months, so I'm really pleased to report that finally that project is underway. Thank you, Mr.
Are there any questions, Councillor Chris, to ask in respect to the leaders?
Mr. Mayor, before we get to questions, can I just ask, as Council has been presented with 3 pages from the Cabinet Member Chris Mead, we haven't had time to consider that. Can I ask him to do 15 minutes? It will also give us an opportunity, Mr. Mayor, to consider the statement from the Chief Executive, the amendments to the confidential spending review, and the amendments to the whistleblower.
Quite happy to agree that, Mr.
In that case,